Hello everybody and welcome to the WNX F1 show. This week we're going to be showcasing round 5 action from Catalonia, Spain, and this week my guest commentator is Gino van der Broek. Thank you very much for coming to the show, Gino. How are you doing, mate?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thanks for dropping in at last minute and being a commentator this week. This week we have video on boards from Tucker, myself and Gino, Crekkan. And also we have a new PVR this week from FIRESAMIEL, so very, very much looking forward to that. And as always, we thank you, Gino, for putting together the extended highlights that make this show possible. How long does it take you?
Ooh, I would say it takes about 4 hours. I tend to take some breaks, but you know, it's just you have to go through every single footage, pick out what you need, all that stuff.
Well, like always, mate, we thank you for doing that. Okay, before we get into the news then, let's have a little look at what happened last time out in Bahrain.
We're away at the Bahrain Grand Prix, and he's got a good start there, but let's see how he goes into turn 1. We can see McLaren flying past him, and Pravus loses first position late on the brakes. Sam Jenks clear. Pravus has got a penalty, just putting too many wheels on that curve. Josh, DRSing his teammate. Very close. What is Tucker doing? Are they both going to the pits? Is he going to ruin Pravus's pit entry? That could have got very messy. We're on board with Josh, who's in the lead, but he makes a crucial mistake. Pravus around the outside. He can just keep it there. He'll have the position. And that is beautiful racecraft from these two drivers. Ooh, very close. Too many errors there from Josh.
Yeah, FIRESAMIEL win. So cracking race then for a usually boring Bahrain. After the race, we had a couple of penalties issued for some contact. Sam Jenks picked up 10 seconds, and also JBPNE yet again picking up 5 seconds for making contact with Stewart. Interestingly, both of these penalties were carried forward to this race in Spain, so knowing that these two drivers are starting with a penalty obviously is damage limitation. Now, GP2 Spain this week, we saw a different set of names. Edink on pole again. And also the race win by Volts. Very surprising. Actually, Edink won the race, but carrying a 30-second penalty was bumped down to 5th place after the race, and Volts was gifted the win. The weather was dry, and the championship leader in GP2 is still Schumacher IMA with a commanding lead. The others now playing catch-up. GP100 Bahrain last week saw a pole position from Crekkan, but unfortunately he was disconnected during the race, and FIRESAMIEL went on to take the race win in a dry Bahrain race. The championship leader is still Crekkan for the time being. Now, we don't have a driver bio this week because unfortunately someone didn't request a mugshot, so we'll move straight on to the championship tables. This is how the tables look this week before the start of the Spanish Grand Prix. FIRESAMIEL actually leading now the GP1 table, with Crekkan 10 points behind after he didn't make the Bahrain race. But now Crekkan has a permanent drive in the Sahara Force India seat. We should see him pull that gap back this race in Spain. Lotus F1 still leading the Constructors' Championship, with Sauber F1 closely behind, 25 points. Let's have a little look then at the Spain Catalonia circuit, a 16-turn circuit. As always, 2 DRS zones. It's a very difficult track to set up for this one. Lots and lots of aero corners, a couple of low-speed mechanical grip corners. But the straight really makes it difficult because the straight is so long. You don't want to sacrifice too much top speed with your downforce because you'll leave yourself vulnerable during the race under DRS. This week we have the medium and hard compound tyres. Qualifying this week is going to be wet, but the race should be dry, so that adds another factor for the drivers to set their cars up. This week, I'm going to be commentating this race along with Gino. Season 2 podium last year was Shiraz, FIRESAMIEL in 2nd and Josh in 3rd, with the fastest lap under wet conditions a 1:30.9. How do you rate this track, Gino? Do you enjoy driving here?
I love it. The issue is, at first corner, during a first lap, it is really difficult. It's always known for its incidents, so who knows, we might have another this race. We'll see.
We'll see. Obviously, It's exciting to watch, but sitting from a driver's point of view, you don't really want incidents there because it can carry through the whole race, and then you're in damage limitation mode.
Yeah.
So let's have a little look at what happened during qualifying.
This week in qualifying, we're on board with Crekkan and FIRESAMIEL. FIRESAMIEL riding for the Mercedes F1 team, while Crekkan in his full-time drive with Force India. Now usually in my drive we'll be braking at the 50 meter board, we're braking at 100. Crekkan using more of a curb, while FIRESAMIEL is avoiding it. Now as we go into the sweeping right-hander, FIRESAMIEL is getting as close as possible as the AstroTurf, while Crekkan in the lead with a 22.4, FIRESAMIEL with a 22.9 dead. Now Crekkan being closer to the curbs, so is FIRESAMIEL trying to make up. FIRESAMIEL running over the curbs there as we go into this left-hander. More like a hairpin, FIRESAMIEL taking up as much curb as he can. Now for this section, you've got to be careful of the gravel. It can really hamper your lap if you get it wrong. And again, with the next corner, you're going to have to lift off a bit. It's a bit wet. You're going to have less grip and you're going to have less traction, and you want to make sure you get through there perfectly. Crekkan's still in the lead with a 52.6. FIRESAMIEL has lost a bit of time with a 53.3. Now this final sector is the most difficult to master. Going to have to be running over the curves but not losing traction and using as much of it as possible. FIRESAMIEL running over the AstroTurf. Crekkan and FIRESAMIEL having a tight line of a chicane. Crekkan losing traction just a bit. FIRESAMIEL running over the curbs as well. And as we come up to the finish line, it seems that Crekkan does have pole position with a 121.9, FIRESAMIEL 4th with a 122.5.
Thanks for that, Gino. So we have Crekkan on pole position, his first drive in the Sahara Force India, followed by Jay Higo, Josh. Sam Jenks having a very good qualifying session in third. Obviously, he's carrying that 10-second penalty. FIRESAMIEL fourth, and our new driver, our reserve driver for GP1, Godzino, in fifth. A really disappointing qualifying session for the Lotus team sees Pravus in 10th and Snipes in 15th position. Shiraz making it into the top 10 in 9th. Very, very interesting qualifying. Obviously, nobody anticipated that it was going to be wet. So it'll be interesting to see who's put a wet setup on to gain advantage in qualifying and who will be running a dry setup for the race. So let's go down to the start and finish grid then and get into the round 5 GP1 race at Catalonia. So everybody's on the grid. We've got 1200 horsepower waiting for the lights to go out. Crekkan on pole position, Josh starting on primes behind him. Actually, Crekkan's on primes as well, so it'll be interesting for these strategies in the race. And the lights are out and everybody's away. Crekkan gets a very good start, but so does Sam Jenks, and he moves to the inside instantly to go down to turn 1 and see if he can pick up some positions. FIRESAMIEL hovering behind him. But who's this? Godzino comes in and makes contact with Sam, and he moves himself up into 5th position. Oh, and there's contact.
That's quite a bit of contact there. I don't know how FIRESAMIEL got about. Oh,
wow! Look at this.
Wow. That's a lot of wheel rubbing.
That's a lot of cars trying to go into turn 3 there. Tucker Harley's lost out and moved down into 14th position, but the two Lotus drivers side by side into turn 4. Pravus just gets ahead.
A lot of different tyre strategy variations there. Pravus trying to fend off Dan Hole, but Dan's got the outside.
Oh, that was excellent driving from these two going into turn.
That was very close. Tucker Harley right behind Cube. Now he's all the way in 13th. He started in 16th position. What can he do? I think he's just being nice and conservative. Oh, there's a lot of contact there. Cube managed to keep traction.
Yeah, Dan Hall and Cube just coming together a little bit, but nothing serious there. Pravus, not a great start. He started in... And I believe Pravus started in 10th position. He's still in 10th position.
Yeah, Pravus not with the best start. I think he got caught up in that traffic jam. Well, it's more of a traffic crash, to be honest, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Crekkan's doing a bit of a Vettel now and taking the lead nice and comfortably, but he's closely followed by Josh.
Sam, I think it's Sam Jenks.
Is it Sam
actually.
Jenks? Wow,
Yeah.
okay, he had a good start then. Josh obviously losing out into turn 1 and he's down into 14th position behind Tucker Harley at the moment.
Cube runner wide there.
Yeah, Tucker Harley's just gifted the 12th position there. Dan Hall having a not too good start up in 11th. In front of him, the 2 Lotus drivers. Whoa! Pravus is gravel tracking, and that's going to lose him a lot of time.
Oof. Getting very close to the drivers there, but very professionally getting back onto the track without impeding anybody.
It looks like Pravus is having some engine overheat troubles. Maybe that's hampering his performance just a little bit. FIRESAMIEL in 4th position now, Andy. Coib in front of him.
Yeah, contact with Finbot on Josh there. Finbot losing position to Pravus. Oof. Pravus nearly losing traction. Cube squeezing him off there, and Finbot trying to come on the outside. He's got past him.
Yeah, he came through a little bit aggressive there, and he kind of forced his way through.
A bit of contact.
Pravus actually pushed him off the track. I think that's equal revenge for them too. I think that's sorted out now. I will hear nothing else about it. So 15th position for Pravus, not a great start to this race. It's going to be on damage limitation yet again for Pravus.
Took Harley and Dan. And he's locked up. That's not what he wanted. Josh goes past him. Will Cube go past him? Don't think so. Pravus has got a nice view of the battle ahead. What can Cube do on Tucker? Finbot's closing in. I think Pravus finally got past Finbot there on the straight. We haven't got DRS yet. We will have DRS this lap. But Pravus's engine issues seem to have gone away.
Yeah, he's still getting some overheating on his tyres though, so he needs to look after that, or it's going to be a poor strategy for Pravus. Here, it's really difficult to look after that front left because we've got so many front left aero corners. But if you don't do it, then your tyres could last at least 2 or 3 laps less. So you've got Pravus setting fastest laps now, chasing down Cube in front of him. Cube's being held up a little bit by Tucker Harley, and Josh has creeped his way back up into 11th place after the first corner troubles he's had. DRS down this long straight, and going to be interesting to see who gains an advantage here. There's 5 cars all battling for the same position. FIRESAMIEL actually got DRS open on Andy Coib. Andy's locked up a little bit and he's gone off the track. That's going to allow FIRESAMIEL just to drive nice and easily around the outside of him and put himself up into podium positions. In front of him, Sam Jenks and Crekkan not too far away. So if FIRESAMIEL gets his head down now, he just makes a mistake. And Andy Coib just creeps back up on the inside and reclaims the 3rd place. That's great. That's great driving from Andy.
Oh, it's all about pressure. Andy, under pressure, locking up into the first corner. I think just overheating the brakes there, and then FIRESAMIEL lost out to Andy as he recovered. You saw back there was our prototype gyro cam there. They're using MotoGP, we're using it here. It doesn't work too well, to be honest.
Pravus just getting it wrong there on the exit of turn 8. Tries to go up the inside of Cube, but there's no space for him. Cube's gone off the track and he's just pushed himself up into 13th position. He's now behind Tucker Harley, and a train is forming behind HB Snipes.
I wonder what FIRESAMIEL can do this time. He's right up to the gearbox of Andy. I think he has it. But that Sauber has a lot of straight line speed. He's managing to stay side by side. I think Andy's lost it this time.
He's going to have to concede here. Yeah, he conceded that corner. I think for a moment he thought about going up to take the outside, but he just conceded and dropped back. And back to this scrap for 9th position. It looks like we've got Finbot retired from the race.
Yeah, that's a damn shame.
This will be 5 races in a row that Finbot's not completed a race. Very frustrating for Finbot. Excuse me.
I don't think the Mercedes team are going to like these constant retirements. I mean, I know it's not just him. It can also be the car. Pravus losing traction. Cube have a bit of contact there, and Cube's going to try and dive down the inside. Oh, so close.
Yeah, just leaves Pravis enough room there. Who got DRS? Because I think Cube went over the line first. Oh, yes, it was Pravis that got DRS.
They both got it. They both
got it. A bit of an error with the DRS system there. Pravis takes a really wide line, hoping to go around the outside.
Oh, he's having to use the AstroTurf.
No,
but Cube's got that. Cube with a lot of oversteer. I think he's gonna. Oh, Pravis on the inside. He cuts across. I think Cube's lost it for now, but the DRS zone is approaching.
Yeah, Pravis regains 12th, but a really good battle between these two, just like we saw in Bahrain, actually. Tucker Harley now with Dan Hall. Both of them got DRS, though, so we shouldn't really see a change of position here. Pravis has dropped back a little bit on these two now.
Oof, they're still battling down the straight, giving themselves plenty of room. This is very professional. But Cube's got... Oh! There's more contact. I don't know whose fault that was. I think Cube turned in a bit too much, and now he's all the way down into 14th. I think he's spun out.
Yeah, I think what looked like happened there is Cube just cut back across a little bit too early. His front tyres made contact with rear tyres of Pravis's car, and it instantly spun him. And Mr. Tans capitalised on that and sneaked through, made up 2 positions to move himself up into 12th position. It looks like we have another retirement from Jamie Hall as well. Sorry, Crekkan, what were you going to say there?
I saw him disappear, unfortunately. It looked like just a random disconnection, which is a damn shame. There's a car ahead that's gone a bit wide, if you see on the map, but he's got everything back together, and Pravis now chasing Mr. Tans.
So he should have DRS down the main straight now if he just holds back, exercises a little bit of patience. He should make the move down the start-finish straight.
FIRESAMIEL already into the pits. Hard tyres.
Yeah, putting hard tyres on his car, so hopefully if he's the first one to come in the pits, he may make a bit of an undercut on Sam Jenks in front of him. Tucker's moved himself up into 6th position now on lap 7. Just made a pass on Dan Hall under DRS. But Pravis couldn't make the pass on Mr. Tans, and he's still in 9th. He's jumped a few places with some people taking to the pit lane. Godzino setting the fastest lap of the race, our brand new reserve driver, with a 1:22.2.
Yeah, he's all the way down the field, though. He got caught up in that first lap incident. Down that straight, it's all about engine power. Renault versus Mercedes there. And Mercedes seems to have won, with McLaren using very well their aero package this year, making sure they get as much as they can out of the engine. But you can see that because they've gone into the gravel. They've not got a good grip.
Yeah, Mr. Tans just gets a real wheel just slightly on the gravel and allows Pravis to move up into 8th position, now on the gearbox of Dan Hall. Pravis's tyres not looking to... Whoa! Dan Hall made a mistake there, and Pravis went up on the inside. He's going to make it stick, and he's moved up into 7th.
Very good overtake. Dan, I think he had a bit of understeer there. All their tyres are going off, and the option runners are going into the pits as we speak.
Yeah, Tucker Harley taking the first person to go into the pits, followed by Pravis and then Dan Hall. Let's see what tyres they put on their cars. So prime tyres for Tucker Harley.
Wonder if Pravis does the same. Yes, he does. Pravis also on the hard tyres. Want to make sure that they can use the tyres freely, I suppose. But the hard tyre is the race tyre, I suppose. It lasts the longest, most conservative, most consistent. So we might see the hard tyre runners move up a few places, have a few battles.
So when FIRESAMIEL pit then, it put him into 10th position just behind Pravis. He's now moved back up into 7th, working his way through the grid. The tyres of Mr. Tans in front of him don't look too great, so he should make this pass nice and easy down into turn 10.
FIRESAMIEL dipping a wheel into the gravel. I'm not too sure. Is Mr. Tans on options? Oh no, he's on hard tyres. But he's definitely having a lot of grip issues. FIRESAMIEL thinking he could probably dive down the inside there, but no space, but he is going to do it now.
Yeah, so into turn 13 he made the move stick, and he's moved himself up into 5th place. Tucker Harley now behind Cube again. takes a much tighter inside line and gets the inside to turn 13 and makes the move stick as well. So he moves himself up into 11th position.
Yeah, but for how long though? But Sauber has a lot of straight line speed, and you will have DRS as well. But we're moving on to Pravus now. Let's see what he can do all the way down here. He has DRS as well, so he must have been within a second. It shows that. Tucker, he's quite a good driver on his day, isn't he?
Yes, he's a very consistent driver. I wouldn't say he's one of the quickest in the league. However, he makes very few mistakes. And he gets his head down and just gets on with it. And he's a very clean driver as well. He's just the type of person that we want in our GP1 league. As we see FIRESAMIEL moving his way up into 3rd position in front of an out of position Shiraz, just almost getting his wheel on the gravel yet again. So he's pushing really hard, FIRESAMIEL, to make the undercut work.
Well, Crekkan all alone in front, a 12-second lead in 9 laps. He's going ahead into the pits, started on primes. Is he going to go on primes again, or is he going to go on options?
Looked like he had a bit of a difficult time getting the nose of the car into the pit lane then. A few corrections on the wheel to try and force it in. The front left obviously taking a beating in the 10 laps that he's been out on track. He puts a brand new set of primes on then, so I wonder what the strategy is for Crekkan here. We've got 10. I don't think he'll make a 2-stop work, so maybe he's going prime, option.
Might be. We're not too sure. It does seem to be the fastest way, but it's just how the tyres degrade as we go on through the race.
Yeah, a lot of different thermal degradation here for the drivers. The front end limited grip circuit, so it's really difficult to cool those front tyres down without losing too much lap time. See Pravus with his DRS open, not really closing on Tucker Harley. Took a nice defensive line down the straight, and I believe he must have curves abused to keep Pravus behind him because the straight line speed of the Lotus this year has been pretty good. Dan Hall closing up on the back of Pravus as well, waiting for the opportunity to sneak past. I'm sure he will if there's any mistakes from these two drivers in front.
Well, Tucker's been having a bit... Pravus is now having difficulty with his Lotus, but Tucker's having trouble with his Williams. I mean, he seems to have oversteer issues. We saw a couple of laps ago when he was behind Dan Hall, but he had oversteer going into the final corner. Well, coming out of the final corner, in fact, and that didn't really help with him trying to overtake, and he's battling to stay on the track, I think.
And we've just seen on the minimap there, Dan Hall just dropping away. What he did was he got onto the gravel and went sideways with his car, ended up into the wall, and I believe he's lost his front wing. So that's Dan Hall now in a really poor position in this race, 10 laps in. He's going to have to go in and change his wing, but he will have some fresh tyres on, so let's see where he ends up come the end of the race. Pravus closed up the gap between up to Tucker Harley now, and he should have DRS on this main straight, and another go at Tucker Harley to get himself up into 9th position. The closing speed not too great though. He's going to go for it though into turn 1, side by side. Both these drivers leaving enough space for each other. Excellent driving, but he couldn't get past.
No, he couldn't. We've lost Cube, unfortunately. He wasn't having a very good race. So whether Sauber decided to retire the car or not, or whether it was just a complete disconnection, we're not too sure.
So Pravus, I believe, is on. He's saving fuel behind Tucker Harley now. He's short shifting into some corners, and I've seen him change his fuel down to lean on the wheel. Wonder if he's just biding his time now, hoping to have a bit of fuel left for the end of the race.
Well, he's got to try and save his tyres as well. I mean, he's behind Dirty, and he's taken inside. Wow, that's from quite far back, actually.
That was a superb overtake. He kept it all together, and Tucker Harley saw him come in and gave him the space on the exit. Great overtake to put himself up into 9th position for Pravus there. I wonder if he can now build a gap up to Tucker Harley and catch up the rest of the pack. There seems to be a little bit of a train in front of him.
Tucker might have been thinking about the DRS zone, but his lock-up into the chicane, any chance of getting the position back, I think he's lost it now. But we'll see what happens. And we're going on to a replay.
Let's have a look.
Sorry.
Go. You go.
Pravus, getting an okay start. He's getting under a lot of pressure from Mr. Tans. And he's got Cube on the outside as well. We'll get a good eye view. That's Jay Hugo. spinning off into the gravel, and everyone getting caught up. Got Zeno there, and Dan Hall just wanting. Oh no, not Dan Hall. Jamie Hall trying his best to get through the pack by force if he has to.
Wow, Pravus just got squeezed by everyone there. There was really nothing he could do but try and keep his car pointing in a straight line, and he lost out big time.
And this has just taken us through how much difficulty he did have. The first corner must have been a bit disorientating because of just masses of traffic, but he managed to get past Dan Hall again.
Let's have a look at what Tucker saw then from the start. Down in 16th position.
Well, we'll get a very good eye view, I think, of all the incidents that happened. The lights went up pretty quickly, as you saw, but Tucker, being conservative, is just waiting it out. He knows there might be an incident. He sees it, waves his hand at Finbot, and look at all those cars. That's mad. There's what, 4 or 5 abreast?
And you can see there, Pravus just in the middle, nowhere to go. Wow. To be honest, I would have expected a lot more incidents. I mean, obviously Josh lost out there, but with all those cars abreast into that corner, it's quite surprising that no other cars spun out.
Yes, and everyone seems to have just put the incident at the back of their minds and are just going about their daily race.
So we're back into turn 13, and then the sun's come out, the sky looking quite blue. Nice, dry, hot temperatures for the track. We've got Pravus in 8th position, chasing down JBPN. He was carrying a 5-second penalty for this race. I'm pretty sure Pravus will have that in the back of his mind, knowing that if this is where he were to finish, he might jump in front of a JBPN, and he goes up, tries to do a carbon copy of what he did to Tucker Harley, but...
Whoa. JB not being very aware, but, you know, everyone makes mistakes there. I think that was just a bit of a driver error.
Yeah, just a racing incident there. Pravus obviously putting a lot of trust in JBP, and he going up on the inside of him, and JB didn't see him coming. So they both made contact with each other. JB just goes in the pits then and releases Pravus. Pravus up into 7th position. This is not a bad recovery drive for Pravus, considering what we've just seen that in the first turn on lap 1.
Tucker stalking Pravus. Let's see what he can do.
I think that's been
very close.
Yeah, I think that's been a theme of the season so far. Tucker's always been seemingly stalking Pravus, just looming in the background, waiting for his opportunity to overtake. Not too many times he's had it, but he's always there.
Maybe stalking isn't the right word.
No,
it does imply quite a few things. But okay, so Tucker using as much curve as he can there, but the Lotus seems to have very good speed coming out of the corners. The Williams not having very much grip coming out and going in. So, no.
As you mentioned earlier, I believe that Williams they haven't got the balance right here. It seems okay under fast sweeping aero corners, but once the speed comes down, the mechanical grip of the Williams really shows a lot of understeer and snap oversteer for the Williams driver as well, so having some difficulty keeping the car on track.
But Tucker is scoring nice points, good points for the team, of course. Williams struggling at the minute. Sam Jenks, though, has proven that the car can be driven at a high level when it's in the rain. He managed to stay within grasp of Crekkan for a while, but I think Tucker's really lost it now. I don't think he can get past Pravus at this rate.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Tucker Harley is a really consistent point scorer. He's sitting 10th in the championship. He's had one DNF this year. He retired the race in Malaysia. But Sam Jenks also missed the Australian race due to sickness, and he's also scored in 3 positions, but he's up in 6th, so proving that the Williams car can score more points.
But as you said, the understeer, very evident going after the first corner mark. I think that's Mr. Tan's behind him. Yes, it is. He's closing up now. I'm just wondering how Tucker can hold back that McLaren. McLaren very quick on the straights. Kind of in a similar situation when we talk about corners, but the McLaren team have a lot more in their budget. We'll see what they can do.
Actually looked a bit more together on the exit of turn 10 there for Tucker. Maybe he was making the mistakes just because he was trying to chase Pravus, and Pravus just having a little bit more pace than him.
Yeah, that could be true. I mean, every point matters. Every point matters, considering every season, a few get relegated, and everyone's fighting for their seat. Everyone's fighting for their seat, especially the midfield and Pravis into the pits. Let's see what tyres he puts on.
So he's going for another set of primes now. That was unexpected.
Tyres not holding up. The tyres are just not holding up. It's a very high degradation on this track. I guess that's just how the tyres are. That's how Pirelli make them. And that's JB behind Pravis. So Pravis has jumped JB. But JB's very close indeed.
He sees the opportunity. I think Pravis is on brand new set of prime tyres, cold prime tyres, and JBPN, he sees the opportunity to go up the inside of him into turn 4. Can he make this move stick? Both of them side by side, as long as they leave each other room into turn 5. We should have no incidents. A little lock up for JBPN there, but he makes the move up into 10th place. Good driving there from JB.
Yes, considering the incidents he has been in, you would expect a bit of wheel rubbing as Pravis dips a wheel into the gravel. But JB, as the season progresses, getting cleaner, more mature, good stuff.
So, news from the pit wall for the Lotus team then. They were originally going to do option, prime, option. But as this racetrack has evolved and the temperatures have rose, they think now the prime tyre is going to be the fastest race tyre, so they're going to run primes until the end of the race. I wonder how a little bit of overstay for Pravis. I wonder how that'll affect their finishing position on this recovery drive then.
Well, I think everyone's going to be having the same issues. Josh has been known for being very, very, very good with the tyres, and he could still finish in a high position as long as nothing bad happens. But I think as long as he keeps his head cool, he should be able to still finish in the top 5 maybe. And Pravis, his tyres are now warmed up. He's setting faster sectors. JB on older tyres, getting a bit of understeer it seems.
Yeah, and I've noticed the line that Pravis takes through turn 4 has changed as we've evolved, as this racetrack's evolved, trying to keep the front left tyre a little bit cooler to make the tyres last just that little bit longer. And Josh makes a beautiful overtake on FIRESAMIEL there into turn 12. And both of them pit now. Both of them pit on lap 17 to get rid of their prime tyres.
I told you to watch out for Josh. He can be very good. He can be very good at times. He could have won the Australian Grand Prix, the first race, but because of a game error, he got disqualified for overtaking the safety car while he was entering the pits, and that was quite a shock for quite a few of the drivers. I mean, he could have won the race.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, very unfortunate disqualification. We actually saw that happen to Pravis in GP100 last season as well in Abu Dhabi. So it's something that all the drivers need to watch out for under the safety car conditions. And of course, we've had FIA rule changes in this league to say that once you've joined the train, you can no longer leave it.
Val Stewart?
Yeah.
Val Stewart back there?
Yeah, I think he's had coming together with Josh. As Josh left the pit lane, both of them have made contact, and Stewart was the one losing out.
Well, we'll see what happens later on in the race. I mean, the stewards might take a dim view of that, but we'll see what happens.
So Pravis has moved up into 8th position now then. He's undercut a couple of drivers, taking an earlier pit stop on lap 16 rather than everybody else pitting on lap 18, but still behind JBPNE.
Yeah, JB trying his absolute hardest to make some sort of gap between him and Pravis, but it's just not working out. JB locking up, oversteer, Pravis pushing, as you can see, he's getting a bit of oversteer as well. But Pravis can afford this, because he's on fresher tyres, he can push a bit more, doesn't have to care about the tyre life as much as JB does, who's probably going to pit much earlier, and maybe even have to do an extra pit stop.
So Pravis then slingshotted himself out of turn 16. That was a bit of a funny change of direction from JBPNE, but it's not meant much to Pravis. He's gone around the outside of turn 1 and he's moved himself up into 5th position. Excellent overtake.
It's an overtake.
Yes. So he's now behind Josh in front of him. There's not too much space between them, about 4.5 seconds. But Pravus on fresher tyres, setting purple sectors now. I wonder if he can catch up.
Well, Josh seems to be challenging someone, not too sure who. It's FIRESAMIEL. So, let's see what happens here. FIRESAMIEL seems to have jumped J. Hugo after the pit stop. And Godzinho, I don't think he's pitted yet, but for a reserve drive, he's doing quite well.
Yeah, up into second position. Let's see where that finishes him in the end of the race. I don't know his strategy. We've not got a PVR for Godzinho. We've not seen that much of him this race, so he's kept a little bit quiet, apart from the little bit of contact into turn 1 on lap 1.
I think that's him just going into the pits now. I think he actually hit the wall.
Did he? I didn't see that. Oh dear, that's not going to be good for him. And FIRESAMIEL crosses the line then in second position and sets the fastest lap of the race. Goes a bit defensive as Josh has DRS.
I'm just wondering how long he can actually stay in second position, actually.
Josh seems to have the pace, doesn't he?
Yes, it does. Yes, indeed. I don't know, it looks like he wants to get past him as quickly as possible, but if I were him, I would wait for the straight, but it's up to Josh. I mean, it is tyre life you've got to think about. You're behind a car, you're going to be in dirty air, you're going to lose grip, and that's going to heat up the tyres as well. And the gravel around this track, a lot more abundant than on other tracks, so you don't want to lose too much grip, because you're going to get into a pattern of driving normally in clean air, like FIRESAMIEL has, like Crekkan has, and when you're in dirty air and you've lost all that grip, you're going to take the same line as you usually do, and then find that you're in the gravel, because all the grip's just gone.
And as you were saying that, Gino, I think Josh must have been listening, because he's dropped back a little bit and gave himself some clean air. Maybe he's...
What can I say? Yeah. Master of wisdom.
And as we look at this race now, we've got Crekkan in first position with a huge gap.
Well, that was nice.
That was a nice bit of music there in the interlude. Thank you for that.
We better edit that out.
Yes, I'll edit that out. So we've got Crekkan in first position now with a 21 second lead on his own in the racetrack, and he's actually coming up to some lapped cars now on lap 21 with 12 more laps to go. We should see him in the pit fairly soon, but his tyres are looking very good. So Crekkan's strategy working very well for him.
Yeah, he seems to be pushing, even though he's got a 21 second lead. He's pushing. I think he just wants to set fastest laps. Maybe he's in a rush to get somewhere after the race, because, you know, who knows what could happen. He fears disconnections, I think. What happened in the GP100 race? Sorry about that. But and what happened in the GP100 race, he disconnected, and usually in any race he suffers from a lag spike, so he's just racing against that, making sure he has some sort of cushion. But I think 21 seconds is a quite comfortable cushion, to be honest.
Well, he's got a pit stop in hand, so if he does struggle with tyre wear towards the end of the race, he can have an extra pit stop and it won't really affect him.
I think finally having a full-time drive has just unleashed him, I think. He's just absolutely decimating the field, you could say, at 22 seconds ahead.
Actually, he did this in Australia, I believe, but all of the other races he were in, he did have challenge from someone, mostly FIRESAMIEL.
Yeah.
So this is a good race for him.
Must be a good track for him. But on some tracks it's always closer. I mean, Crekkan coming into the Malaysian race, he said he wasn't gonna probably do as well as he could in Australia, and then when he was reserve driving for Force India in China, he just was nowhere, to be honest. I mean, the incident at the start kind of just made him fade away.
And that's the trouble, isn't it? Once you have an incident on lap one, that if you don't forget about it and just put it into the back of your mind and just put your head down and get on with the race, it can really affect you. But you're on damage limitation mode. As soon as that happens, you're on damage limitation mode. So we're on board with Tucker Harley now. He's moved himself up into 7th position. He's behind JBPNE, who's in 6th. Pravus has taken off into the distance, and these two are fighting for position. And JB pits and releases Tucker Harley into 6th. So a really good race again from Tucker Harley, middle of the top 10 like we usually see from him.
Yep, doing very well. And Josh now taking advantage of, well, just look at that.
Perfect. Yeah, grips to the inside of turn 4 and moves himself up into 2nd. So after an excellent damage limitation drive from Josh,
all the way into 2nd.
Brilliant.
But it really does separate between the drivers. I mean, Crekkan had a lot of difficulty recovering in China, and while Josh and Pravus seem to be able to do it very easily. Whether that means anything, you can look into that if you want.
Well, maybe Josh and Pravus have had a lot more experience coming back through the field than Crekkan, who seems to be in a world of his own all the way up the front, 21 seconds in front to be exact.
Yeah, he's either in the lead or moaning about being in the pack, to be honest.
So onto the DRS. Straight then we go. FIRESAMIEL within a second, so it opens his DRS, but Josh has used a lot of curves to get in front, and I don't think FIRESAMIEL is going to be able to close this gap at all. So he's starting lap 24 in 3rd position.
Well, it's Mercedes engine versus Mercedes engine, but FIRESAMIEL getting better exits out of those corners. But the dirty air is going to not help him at all going through here. Very close. Let's see how close we are. Only 3/10 away from each other in the first sector.
Excellent driving from these two. Their tyres not looking too great, so I expect these two into the pits anytime soon.
Yes, you saw there that FIRESAMIEL very quickly flicking through his little menu screen, have them built into the helmets. You can just flick a switch and they can see the condition of their cars. They get very close, and they've got to be very careful about using that because this is broadcast on the team paddocks and they can take the information out of that.
So we've got 9 laps left. These two could come in now and comfortably make it to the end of the race on a set of primes. I wonder. Oh, I caught a bit of corner cut from FIRESAMIEL there, but none of them pit, and FIRESAMIEL's much closer this lap. Going down the start-finish straight, I wonder if he can close that gap and make an overtake come turn 1. No.
Josh seemingly did a wheelie there, but that might just be the game physics. You never know what it's going to be like.
Yeah, since the patch, a few oddities have started occurring in multiplayer races. FIRESAMIEL struggling with a bit of oversteer there, and he's lost time to Josh. Takes a quick look at his tyres, which are very, very worn.
He's not got much fuel left either. It's at optimal, so he's going to have to try and either save some fuel or just keep it in standard. But both drivers, I think, we're going to have to be pitting this lap, but definitely next lap.
So I'm hearing from Teddy Kravitz in the pit lane, then the Lotus driver of Pravus has taken an early pit stop in the hope to close the gap and undercut Andy Koib, and he's looking for a podium position here. I wonder where FIRESAMIEL's going to come out when he pits.
Well, he's been having a lot of difficulty. As you read out the report, he got himself tangled up in the curbs, went into the gravel, then onto the grass, and he's suffering a lot of oversteer.
So Pravus now.
So, Pravus trying to warm up his tyres a bit behind Sam Jenks.
Sam Jenks, I hear, had a drive-through for a coming together with Stewart. He's been on the team radio saying that it wasn't his fault, but he had to take the drive-through anyway, and this has put him down to 8th position. And he's going to pit now from 8th, lap 25. Should put the option tyres on, but that's really ruined his race. Pravus getting DRS on the pitting Sam Jenks. And now he's 3 seconds behind FIRESAMIEL, has come out in front of him. So this undercut has worked a treat for Pravus and put him up in possibly a podium contention.
Well, again, it just shows the talent of the drivers on this grid. He had a bad start, all the way down, nearly into last place, and he's managed to fight his way all the way up through the field and he's technically, you could say, in third position, maybe second. Depends what happens to the cars ahead. But very interesting indeed.
So we don't see Josh here, so Josh must have gone for an extra lap. I wonder if FIRESAMIEL then will undercut Josh. Godzino, our new reserve driver, in front of him, down just going into turn 10. Having a little fight there with what looks like Mr. Tans.
I think it is, unless Josh has had a very bad lap. No, that's Mr. Tans. That's definitely Mr. Tans.
Some quick reactions there from FIRESAMIEL. Mr. Tans is getting out of shape. I wonder if he's going to go into the pit lane now. FIRESAMIEL up into 5th position.
He had to cut the corner there just to make sure that he got out of FIRESAMIEL's way. Obviously knowing that he might cause an incident if he gets too close. His tyre's really badly shot. But Godzino, I think I'm saying that right. Hopefully I am. Sorry if I'm not Godzino. But FIRESAMIEL looking on the outside, that's not going to work. Godzino is on the prime tyres. He might be going to the end. But let's see how quickly FIRESAMIEL can get past Godzino, because he got to think about Pravus. He has to think about Pravus on the outside. This is very clean I can't speak today. I'm sorry. But very clean driving between the two. FIRESAMIEL very desperate to get past, cutting corner, but it's illegal by the game standards. We'll see what the stewards think. But FIRESAMIEL with DRS, just looking at any sort of advantage. Oof, a bit of contact there, Pravus.
Yeah, contact. He looks very. He really wants to get past as soon as possible. Obviously, Samuel knows that the longer he's behind Godzino, Pravus is closing that gap, and we can see on the minimap now, Pravus probably within a second, and now FIRESAMIEL's been released as Godzino comes into the pits.
I think FIRESAMIEL's going to be swearing under his breath because Godzino just held him up so badly that Pravus is now in DRS. That's really bad for FIRESAMIEL.
And we're to assume Josh has pit, and Josh is in second position, and he's around about 9-10 seconds in front of Samuel now.
Yes, I think so. And we're looking at a replay. This is behind Pravus, when FIRESAMIEL was having a lot of difficulty trying to get past Godzino. Very interesting perspective. But again, you can see how close they are and how much the driver can see. But it must have given Pravus quite a big smile, knowing that FIRESAMIEL was losing a lot of time, and now that he's in DRS.
Yeah, so we're on lap 28 then. 5 laps to go in this, and Pravus is now chasing down FIRESAMIEL. So I'm really excited about this. These two have not really been on track much together this season, so I'm hoping he's going to catch up and we're going to see a bit of side-by-side racing action.
Now, FIRESAMIEL and Pravus, we've got to think for a moment, because Josh is currently under investigation for an incident he had with Stewart. So later on, after this race, the positions might change, as Josh may get a penalty as we lose connection to Shiraz in the Force India. He's not having a very good season start at all.
No, that'll be his second DNF this season, unfortunately. He had a disqualification in Australia as well.
Yes, and Force India not doing too well with points, but by the end of this race, I don't think that'll be the case anymore. Because Red Bull have had a lot of trouble as well. Dan Hall, he crashed into the barrier earlier on in the race, and I think Jamie disconnected right before our eyes. So maybe 1 or 2 points, but that's not good because they'll probably be at the bottom of the table by the end of this race.
Yeah.
Unless something happens to Crekkan.
Yeah, the Infinity Red Bull team not scoring points in the last 3 races. They're the only point scoring this season in Australia when they both picked up 16 points. Pravus made a little bit of a mistake now, and he's got marbles all over his tyres, so that's going to hamper his grip coming into this very difficult low-speed mechanical grip section. He's going to have to slow the car down more than he usually would.
I'm very intrigued because I'm looking at the sector times, I'm looking at the gaps, and Andy seems to be catching up. Last lap, he was 6 seconds behind. Previous sector marker, he was only 5 seconds. We'll have a look. It might come up. 4.4 seconds. Now, that's a lot of time in a lap.
I wonder if Andy Corby's on the option tyres then. He's closing that gap pretty fast. And as we look at the graphic on the Lotus car of Pravus, he's minus 1 lap of fuel. So before the end of this race, he needs to get that to optimal or he's going to run out of fuel before the line.
Yeah, and yes, definitely. I mean, it would be very frustrating if he does get past FIRESAMIEL and then by the chicane his car is stuttering because it's run out of fuel. And Renault engines, well, any engine, doesn't work well without fuel. It's kind of physics 101 if it can come under physics. I think it's more chemistry than physics, but, you know, who cares?
So, Andy Corby then, the last sector time we saw, he pulled another 4 tenths on Pravus. Let's have a look at this sector time. Pravus is 3 tenths down, and Andy Corby is another 10th up, 3.9 seconds behind
now. Pravus is no longer in DRS range. He might clear it back through the chicanes. The Lotus car has been very well balanced, but has been notable for its speed. So we'll see what happens. Let's see if he's closed in a bit. Earlier on in the race, Crekkan set a new fastest lap of a 1:19.7, if I remember correctly. I think that breaks the lap records we have here. And Garzinho, all over the back of Tucker Harley, if you look at the mirrors there.
Yeah, Tucker going for a defensive. He's made his one move to the inside, and Godzino's had to go around the outside into turn 1, but it looks like he's made the move stick. He just gets out of shape and he's gone wide. Ooh. And Tucker takes it back.
I was going to say, if Godzino kept his position there, I would have given it back just to avoid the wrath of the stewards. But Godzino, he's going on the inside and he has the racing line. You can clearly see through the rubber, but Tucker's not given up. Oh, so close. Godzino, a lot of driver awareness to just close off any potential overtake Tucker might have, and Tucker really struggling. You can see the understeer, and Godzino speeding off into the distance after a very bad start. Oof. And I think that's Mr. Tanz. Yes, it is. The Mercedes engine, you can hear it very clearly, but he cannot go around the outside.
Yeah, Tucker put his car in just the right place there to prevent Mr. Tanz from driving around the outside after he had a lot of understeering to turn 9, trying to follow too closely to Godzino. Godzino now into 7th position, and a bit of a corner cut from Godzino there as well.
He's a reserve. Let him off for this time. Let him off this time.
So lap 31 then. Mr. Tanz closely following Tucker Harley. Tucker goes defensive again, but I think Mr. Tanz is going to make it nicely around the outside to make it up into 8th position into turn 1. Tucker just going backwards now at the end of this race.
Yes, I mean, but Williams already has grip issues, and with old tyres, it doesn't help the situation. When Tucker was defending for Mr. Tanz on the straight before the main straight, I think he took a page out of Godzino's book and just a very rapid. And is that JB?
That's JB. And that is,
it
it comes back onto the track very dangerously there, and the stewards are not gonna like that at all. He's taken out Mr. Tanz, wasn't looking when he entered the track again. That's very disappointing.
Well, as we have chaos once more down the field, Pravus has catched up with FIRESAMIEL, and Andy is not far behind either, and we're going on to the final lap. We're on lap 32, soon to become lap 33 of this, I would say, processional race, with Crekkan leading throughout, but behind him, it's been, well, amazing with some chaos.
Yeah, and Pravus is just trying to go around the outside there. He switched his engine up to rich.
So close.
Both of these drivers leaving a room for the other, but he just couldn't make the move stick. FIRESAMIEL did a really good job of defending there on quite obviously older tyres than... Actually, FIRESAMIEL's tyres are newer than Pravus's, but he chose to go on the options for the last run. So Pravus's tyres should last to the end, even though he did the undercut.
Yeah, overall I think Pravus will now have more grip because those options are on death's door. But we'll see. It does all count. This is insane. They are so close.
Pravus is just desperate to get past now. He knows that he's on the last lap. as we see Crekkan crossing the line. He goes up to the pit wall.
We don't care about Crekkan. We don't care about Crekkan. We want to watch this. Now this is Pravus. What's he gonna do? Oh, a suicidal last dive, and is that Andy? That's Andy.
Andy's gone around the outside. He saw the mistake.
What is he gonna do? Oh, this is madness. He's got past FIRESAMIEL and Pravus. With only a few corners to go, he's in the podium position. That's incredible. He's just gone from 5th to 3rd in a matter of 2-3 corners.
Absolutely superb.
And look at them.
Superb driving. Superb. So we've got Crekkan wins the Spanish Grand Prix, followed by Josh, and then Andy Coy B with a fantastic last lap takes 3rd and final podium position, followed by Samuel and then Pravus in 5th. Tucker Harley there crossing the line in 7th. So not a bad race for Tucker Harley. Sam Jenks with his drive-through penalty finishes in 8th position. Mr. Tan's in 9th, and Stewart in the second Lotus just rounds off the top 10. Wow, what a brilliant race!
Yeah. Yes, fantastic. I mean, I would say I feel sorry for FIRESAMIEL and Pravus, but they were bickering so much on the track. Well, not verbally, but with their cars, that they let Andy just slip by.
It's probably one of the best overtakes that I've seen this season. And hopefully it will get nominated for Overtake of the Month. So, Parc Ferme, then we see Crekkan celebrating his 3rd win of the season so far, putting him back at the top of the table. A great race in China. Thank you very much for joining us today, Gino. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Anytime.
And we'll see you all next week for the Monaco Grand Prix. This week, I'm going to be joined by Crekkan. Oh shit, I'm using the wrong name. Gino. Hey, say that again?
What, Herausforderer?
Herausforderer?
It's German for challenger.
This week, I'm going to be joined by Gino van der Broek. I'll do that one more time. Let's do that again.
Oh, bollocks. Sorry.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to
One day.